Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the text clipping mask sampler. So I'm first going to grab a new piece of paper, and when my dialog box comes up, I'm going to go ahead and choose print, and I'll just grab a letter size piece of paper and go ahead and give your document a name, and I'm going to just call this text clipping mask sampler. Maybe I'll put my name on there also. Great, and say create. All right, so you can go ahead and grab whatever you want for this bottom layer. I was gonna just do like a piece of some sort of textured paper. You could find lined paper, whatever you want. Get some sort of image in there as a background. So I'm gonna look up maybe some lined paper. So if I can find a good image. I don't wanna take too long. And all right, maybe I'll do this kind of graph paper. Sure. Tools, size, large. I kind of like this one. I'll go for this, sure. Right click. Oh, you know what? I think this probably is going to have watermarks all over it. Sorry, I'm slowing down the video. All right, we'll just do this and move on. Okay, copy and paste that in. Control V as paste. And Control T to transform it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and fill that paper. And there we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my T, my text tool, to make my first word. So if your setup is looking like mine, I'm not gonna count from the top because that's down pretty far. I'm gonna start counting from the bottom here. So from the 3 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th tool down is the type tool. And you can see there's some other options in there. I'm just gonna use the standard type tool, and you can see that the shortcut key is T on your keyboard. So if I just click T on my keyboard, brings up the text, and the text, you can make a text box and draw out a box, but I really don't like doing that because once you have the box, you're kind of stuck in the box. So I find it's better to just click one time, click once, and that brings up a cursor for you. And then your word can be as long as you want, and you don't have to worry about fitting inside the box. Okay, versus if I drag out a box, now my word has to fit inside this box. So I don't like dealing with the box. So I'm gonna throw that away. And again, I'll throw this one away too. Oh, I'm gonna hit delete. Delete. There we go. So, yep, T right here. So T, and then just click one time. Okay, click one time, and now I'm gonna put my text. So I think the first word I did was beach. Okay, now to change your font and your size, because it might be, you know, who knows what size it's gonna be. I'm gonna go ahead and triple click, 1, 2, 3. It will select my whole word. You can also use Control A to select your whole word. And then there's 2 ways to change your font. So Photoshop now has these little pop-ups like, hey, here's some things you might want to do. Like it knows I probably want to change the font. So it's opened up right here. So I can change my font here, or I could change my font up here. So if this little box isn't, like this little helper menu isn't coming up for you, you can always change it up here. The tricky part about changing it up here is, as you can see, it's kind of blocking my image. So I guess I could move my image over and then do it. And then I could see a little bit better, right? And as I scroll through here, you can see it's changing the font. So you want to pick just something nice and bold. I'm not going to spend forever going through and picking a font, but something nice and bold because you're actually going to be putting an image in here. All right, let's say your text is like really small and you can't see anything. So let's say your text is really tiny, or let's say your text is white and you can't see anything. You can change the color here or here. You can change the size, right? You can change the size, but even easier than this is I just like to set my text to black. I'm not really gonna worry about the size. And I'm gonna hit OK. Yes, I like this text, but I don't like the size, so I'm gonna hit Control T on my keyboard. Control T to transform. When you transform text, you do need to hold Shift, otherwise it will, this is what happens if you don't hold Shift. It will squish it and squeeze it and stretch it out, okay? So you wanna hold Shift and you can resize your text. If you hold Shift Alt, then it resizes from the center. Okay, so you can see I'm resizing from the center. I'm happy with the size. Actually, I want to move it up a little, and then I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard to confirm. Okay, so I've got my first word. If for some reason, by the way, you're not seeing your font, it might be because you have white selected. So let me show you what would happen if you had white. I have white selected here in the foreground. So let's say I'm going here and I'm typing, and oh, it didn't make it white. But if you have white selected, it can be pretty hard to see your text. So you just want to hit Control A and change it to black or something dark or a color. It doesn't really matter what color your text is because we're going to put an image into it anyway. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just right off the bat make this bigger with Control T. But you'll notice that this is the same font. So I want to go back and change the font. So I like resizing it first to make it bigger. And then I'm going to just hit the T, double click the T, and it will select everything. And now I can go back and I can change the font. And again, I can change it over here, or I can change it here, whichever. And you'll notice that all of the font is selected. Control A. And again, I'm not going to spend a long time picking my fonts, but you can spend a little bit more time. I just don't want to drag this video out forever. All right, water. Let me do another. I'll do maybe like 2 more. Oopsies. And if you click too close, it kind of just reactivates that same text layer. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to click a little bit farther away. And now I'm going to type another word. What did I have? Wild. Celebrate. I'm going to do hello. Hello. Okay, and again, maybe I'll change my color just to show you that I can. Doesn't really matter. Control T to transform it, change the size. Oop, Control T. Control D, there we go. And again, I'm going to change my font. So I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to double click the T over here on the layer panel. And that selects all my text, and now I can change the type of font. I'll get something else for hello. And now that I see this font, maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller. And I'll do one more word. You guys should do like 5 or 6. I'm just going to do a few just so the demo doesn't take forever. And again, I can also change the size here. Oops, it's maybe a little too big. Or I can hit Control T. I'm going to triple click and choose another font. All right, so once I have all my words typed out, I can go ahead and grab some images to throw in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a Google image search, and I'm going to look for beach texture or maybe a beach photograph. And here we go. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do my yeah, I like this one. I like this one. We're just going to go quick. I don't want to take too long. Here we go. Maybe I'll do this. Right click, copy image, and I'm going to find my word. So beach is right here. So I click on beach. That way when I paste it, it goes directly above it. Control T. I need to resize my image. And if you haven't already figured out, you can use Shift to skew. If you hold Shift, you can skew your image. And I'm actually just going to drag it because this is just a texture. And then right click, create clipping mask. And there's beach here in my word. I'm going to go ahead and go on to water. And let me go back here. Let me find a water texture. I think there actually was one here, so I'm just going to grab this, right click, copy image. And I'm going to find water. So let's say I paste this on the top. That's on top of celebrate. So I need to drag it in the layer stack so it's above water, because that's the word I want to put it in. And then I need to use Control T to actually cover this image. And it doesn't matter, watch this. It doesn't matter if I'm covering beach, because I'm going to right click, create clipping mask, and it's just applied in here. Now it's really hard to see these on this paper, so I'm actually going to show you how to do with the layer styles, give it a little drop shadow in a second. But let me go ahead and just go through and finish up with my clipping mask. Oops, I didn't spell that right. There we go. For my hello. Right click, copy. Paste it in, Control T. Right click, create clipping mask. And then for celebrate, I'm gonna do maybe a gold texture. So Control V to paste, Control T to transform it, make sure it's above it in the layer stack, right click, create clipping mask. All right, and then I'm gonna go through, and again, these are a little bit hard to see, so I'm actually gonna do something new. So if you stop paying attention, go ahead, look up here really quick. So when you're on your type layer, your T, so this first word down here that says beach, it's kind of hard to see the edges because it's kind of a light image on a light piece of paper. So I'm gonna apply a little drop shadow so it almost looks like kind of cut out. So to do that, if you double click on the T, that activates the word. So I could actually change this to, like, let's say I didn't want beach and I wanted to write ocean. So cool, I can still edit it, which is nice, right? But, so that's if I click the T. If I click next to it, where the word ocean is, that just allows me to rename my layer. But if I click in the blank space to the right of it, this brings up my layer style menu. And I think I briefly talked about you could use this for glows if you were feeling really advanced last time. But this brings up my layer style menu. I'm gonna go down to the bottom. There's one that says drop shadow. And if I click on the drop shadow, this menu, sorry, it's kind of taking up my screen here. Let's see if I can move my image over here. So you can see, let me zoom in a little bit more. Ugh, it's telling me, hold on. I can't move, I guess. So I'm gonna go ahead, double click right next to that blank space. And I'm gonna go down here to drop shadow and make sure that this is checked. You can change the intensity of your drop shadow. You can change the distance. I don't think I want to do it too far. I want to keep it kind of close to it. I want it to look like it's kind of like a paper cutout. Spread and size. So you just kind of have to drag these until it looks reasonable. And yeah, I think that looks like, you know, that could be like a little paper cutout there. Again, you can change your opacity if you want it more or less. And make sure it's on black and multiply. So I'll do that again for the next one. So the next word, again, I'm not clicking on the word because that allows me to change the word. And I'm not clicking here where it says water because that's just the name of the layer. I'm clicking to the right, the blank space in the right of the layer. So double click there. That brings up my layer styles. I'm gonna click drop shadow. And you can see, I think it just uses the exact same settings I had last time, which is great. So I'm gonna Control 0. I'm gonna go to my next word, hello. I'm gonna double click to bring up my layer style. Move this over here, drop shadow. Happy with that, hit OK. Go to my next word, celebrate. Double click, drop shadow, there we go. Okay, and the text is really cool because this is still editable. So let's say I wanted to, instead of celebrate, I decided, you know what, I wanna write party. So I'm gonna double click my T to select all that text, and I'm gonna write party. And so you can still edit it the whole time, which is pretty nice, okay? So you are typing your words, resize them, make them nice and big, choose different fonts, okay? And then after you do that, again, I like to always start from bottom to top, and I apply all my images in with clipping mask. Remember, they need to be directly above the layer that you wanna insert them in. And you need to also Control T resize them. Once you're finished, go ahead, File, Save As on your computer. Click to your Google Drive, find the correct folder. For me, I have a lot of folders. Where's this text clipping mask? Save. Okay, and then the second time, File, Save a Copy. Oh, I tried to click it too quick. Save a copy. JPEG. And then that is what I'm going to turn into Google Classroom. Or I'm sorry, Schoology, not Google Classroom. All right, and that's it.